All right. Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is the Center for Leadership, the podcast where leadership begins at the center, you. I'm Carrie Terhark, and I believe in order to lead others effectively, we must first learn to lead ourselves. This segment is called Beyond the Title, where we have conversations to explore raw, unscripted, behind the scenes stories of people discovering how they turned their passion into purpose. They'll share their practices, insights, and tools that will help you stay centered, resilient, and ready to empower those in your care. Leadership isn't just a role, it is a choice, and it starts for showing up for yourself. So let's dive in. So today I am excited to be talking to Tiffanie Kellog. So Tiffanie and I met at a networking event, and I immediately loved your vibe. Like there was just something, just even in Zoom and the screen that you're like, oh, I need to get to know Tiffanie a little bit more. So we met on Zoom. After that event, got to know each other a little bit more, and I'm really inspired by your story. So I'm excited to share it with everyone today. So welcome, Tiffanie.
Carrie, thank you so very much for having me here. It is a pleasure.
Yes, yes. So we always start this podcast and just conversation is just a relaxed conversation, but I want to know what lights your fire? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
So I love the fact that each and every day I get to help entrepreneurs have more money, more time, and more fun. I think that so many entrepreneurs start a business just like I did for, whether it's a passion that we have or we didn't want to go work for somebody else or whatever it may be. And then we get mired down in the day to day of being an entrepreneur. And there's a lot of that. And it can kind of like almost quicksand get you stuck pretty tightly. And I think entrepreneurship should be all about freedom and about fun. How do we make the money, have the time to do the things that we want so we can live the life that we desire? Because we never know what's going to happen in the future or how long our future is going to be. And so for me, it's all about how can we seize the day while planning for a powerful future.
I love that. And being, kind of the second year into owning my business, and I've done this before in different ways. It is so, it's just that. Like I left for freedom. Like I left a job that I felt I was passionate about. I loved what I did. I liked the people I was working with, but I just felt restricted. I felt like I'm working and building somebody else's dream. And so breaking out and doing my own thing just for me felt like freedom. And yet breaking those habits of being working all of the time and doing all of the things, and it's just like why am I doing this? Like was this really necessary? How do I get that balance of life into there? So I we're going to have a good conversation today.
Yeah, because I'm gonna make this super easy. We're gonna give up on balance.
Yeah, because it
Just
doesn't
give
it doesn't exist.
give up on it. Like we're currently doing a balance challenge for July where we're literally trying to balance. And I'm good, but 4 minutes and 4 seconds is right now the longest I can balance on one foot.
Yes.
And that's hard and it takes it out of me. And we are trying to balance our life in its entirety, which is hard and tiring.
Entirely. I think that was kind of, and I think that's what sparked the center for leadership, and it really being about being centered in who you are. Because as an entrepreneur, balance doesn't exist. There's times when your business requires a lot more effort and energy, and there's times when your life requires a lot more effort and energy. And it's that freedom to choose when and how you spend your time, and that I'm showing up as my best self, regardless of what's drawing my attention. So I love that. So tell me a little bit about when do you, what sparked this? Where did this come from?
So I didn't realize growing up like many that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was not on the radar even. I went to college thinking I was going to do genetic research, genetic engineering. And when I figured out the years of schooling, the politics involved, the blah, 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 I'm like, yeah. So I switched over. My college, Queen's University in North Carolina, has the Hugh McCall School of Business from Bank of
Okay.
America. So it's like a really great business school for a teeny tiny little school. And I got into business and got out of school with my degree, started that first job where I had like the benefits and the salary and all those cool adult things.
Yeah.
And then in March of 2003, two things happened that dramatically impacted me being here. The first the board of directors had gotten together, done some restructuring in the organization, and guess whose position was no longer part of the organization? This girl. So I was very nicely offered a severance package or a demotion. And the other thing that happened that month, my mom, who had been battling breast cancer for the previous 17 months, was given a terminal diagnosis. She may have a couple of weeks left to live. So I took the severance package, which was brilliant because I got to spend every single day with my mom, whether it was just crawling in bed with her and watching judge shows for hours, or if she felt good enough to like come out, sit at the table, or there was this gorgeous day. I remember we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she wanted to go outside. So we loaded her in the wheelchair with her double oxygen tanks. And Charlotte has hills, unlike Florida. So it's flat here. We don't have hills. But so it's like push up the hill and then we on the back of the chair on the way down, just spending, we got to spend, she hung on for several months and we got to celebrate her birthday. It was her 47th birthday, which her birthday was last week. And I'm thinking about it because I'm 46 now. So I'm like, I'm only 6 months younger than my mom when she passed. And that's like a whole mind trick, all self and evaluating things. But after she passed, I was kind of like, what am I going to do with my life? I've lost my mom, my best friend. My job was gone. And there was a friend of the family, Jackie, and she owned her own business. And she would come over at like 10 on a Monday morning or 3 on a Thursday afternoon, where everybody else was coming over evenings and weekends because they had a job. And I'm like, ooh, I want to start my own business. Yeah, let me do this. So I picked up and moved to Florida, started a business, promotional products. And what I found is just because you have a business doesn't mean you have any business. And I think this is something that entrepreneurs run into so frequently and often. I've got a business, and this was barely websites there. This is no social media. Like it was a very different, now I feel old. 22 years ago, how different it was, but it was a very different time. Like when I was like looking to grow my business, I was still going to the library to do research. So I was cold calling for a couple of years, but then I got a phone call and somebody's like, hey, you want to come check out this networking group? And so I went into this room and it was like, the clouds parted, the sun came through. Oh my gosh, there's a room full of people that could pass me referrals. And that was a dramatic spark. I don't know if we'll call it a fire, but a dramatic spark in my business from spending 80% of my time cold calling to switching to growing my business by referrals. Now I fell in love with it and I started training, figuring out what works. How do we do networking and referrals? And that led me into my speaking career, speaking on that. So now I'm 20 years talking about referrals and networking all across the globe to help entrepreneurs have that money. And then what I found was some people don't have time for networking and they don't have time for the referral relationships because it takes time and energy because they're so busy with everything else. So it was about 8 or 9 years ago that I took all of my tips and tricks and packaged them into what is now called the Entrepreneur's Guide to More Free Time. And it's just, here's a whole bunch of easy and hard ways, pick along the spectrum, to help you free up the time for the things that matter to you.
Yeah, I love that. I've through the years, back, I had a direct sale business very long ago, and was really successful at it and really had a lot of fun. And I just did it for fun. I did it just, something to get me out of the house, something to be kind of fun and to end up being something bigger than I had ever anticipated. But the one thing that was really about was relationships. It was those connections. It was the referrals. It was, and you just kind of got this momentum where, I wasn't doing anything, task oriented, like, taking ads out, sometimes there was some cold calling, but in that that was way before, all the Facebook stuff and the social media stuff as well. There's no influencer. You were like showing up and, whatever, but part of it was about creating that experience that people had an opportunity to just kind of let go for a little bit and just connect with other people. And that is what I think people really were drawn to. It wasn't necessarily what I was selling. It was what we were creating. And now that I'm, in this training business, I teach people how to create those engaging experiences. And I think when I first got started, I was so caught up, maybe kind of desperate, not really knowing what I needed to do, that it was like, do all of these things, get somebody to do, I have social media. My social media is great. I love the people who do my social media, get the website up, get all of these things. And while they're great visually to create my brand, I realized that that wasn't the thing that was going to bring people into my business, right? It
Yeah.
always goes back to the connections and the relationships. And planting those seeds takes a while to grow. It's like I don't plant a seed today and tomorrow I have this beautiful, arrangement. That's hard too.
Yeah, it is such a different mindset for people that it is about the relationships. And I think they need to rename referral marketing into relationship
Yes.
marketing, because you're
Yes.
not, the majority of time, every once in a while things are random, but the majority of time people aren't going to refer you unless they know who you are, they know what you do, and they know who is a great client for you.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the
Yes.
more unique your profession is, oh my gosh, this is so funny. We're back to unique professions. We were talking about this before we started
Yes.
recording, y'all. But the more unique your profession, the easier it is to get referrals randomly. For example, I know one professional sandcastle builder. So, and I don't know them well. Okay, I'm in Florida. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's not really a thing because I only know of one. If you happen to be the only one, then it does make it easier for you to get more referrals. But very rarely are any of us in a profession that we are the only one. Though I will tell you, now that I'm doing something where I am the only one, it is kind of fun.
It is it? I know, right?
Kind of like nobody else is doing this.
Nobody.
I get to be the person.
Yeah. So when you think about that, where did you have, I'm assuming, because you're an entrepreneur, where were some times when you were just thinking, I don't know if I can do this. Like this is, I'm at a crossroads. What I'm doing is not working. I'm not really feeling it. Tell us a little bit about some struggle.
Okay, so this happens all the time, y'all. I mean, it's not,
Oh, good. I'm not the only one.
yeah, I started my business in 2003, and there have been times this year where I'm like, do I really want to do this? And I think that one of the things is when we get that down, and I don't know if I'm going to answer your question, but I'll remind me to see if I answered your question or not. Here's where I'm taking it, and then we'll see. There are times when I get down or I'm like, why am I doing this? That I have to remind myself why I'm doing this. I have to go back to that younger, why did I open this business? What is it that I'm looking to do? And one of my favorite ways to do that is perusing through testimonials and success stories. So I highly recommend as entrepreneurs that you always be capturing the success stories of how you're helping people, whether it's written or video or whatever it may be. Like I'm right now working on, and this is like this week, so it's a new thing. I'm like, I'm going to create a reel of like 5 or 10 minutes of people talking about the differences I've made in their life and the changes and how much they love me and all of that. Not to share. This is not a social media thing. This is going to be when I'm down, Tiffany, and I need to be reminded, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because sometimes things get hard, or like politics, and I'm not even going to get into all that, and recessions, and I like to say I refuse to participate in the recession, because if I just keep going, then, hey, but sometimes it can impact our business. And so I think sometimes when we're struggling, if we have that reminder of here's all the people that we're helping, it can help us recharge our batteries. Now, this is different than like, what are the actions I'm going to take? We'll talk about that in a second. But I think sometimes we have to be reminded that I'm not doing this to get up to pay the mortgage or rent, to put food on the table. I mean, we are, but there are way easier ways to do this than being an entrepreneur. People are like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, so I no longer have a boss and I can work whenever I want. And for most people, that turns into now I have a bazillion bosses and forms of clients and vendors. And I have to work all the time. Like it's not what we envision. So I think sometimes connecting back to the why we do it and hearing other people share. So I'm in the middle of starting a brand new group. It is a women's networking organization for child-free women. And I'm getting some flack from people, and it was not on my list of things to do ever in my life to start a networking organization. I've spent 20 years partnering with amazing groups and chambers and BNIs and Rotaries and professional groups and women's groups, all of that. Never my intention to start my own group. However, I went looking because I am a child-free by choice woman, and I found out in December, like that's a thing. And I'm like, okay, where's the group for the child-free women entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
And there's women's business groups and there's child-free groups, but there's not that one. And so I didn't realize that all of this has been working for in January. Oh, Tiffany, you should start the group, is what my brain said to me. And I'm like, so every 2 or 3 days, I'm probably like, do I really want to do this? Every time somebody like, oh, that's a hokey ideal. Oh, why do you need to do that? Oh, why are you excluding the moms? Okay, there are a bazillion mommypreneur groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the mindset, I love moms. I don't want to be one, but you be one. Let me help pour into your kids. We have like a tutoring company, an English as a second language teacher. We have a woman that helps gets kids into school with musical scholarships. So it's a very kid-friendly community. It's just without the kids. And so I am sometimes struggling with, this is gonna take a little bit of energy and effort to create the vision of what I want. Because my goal is in 5 years, there's 3 knockoff groups that want to be like me.
Yeah.
But not quite. And here's the thing that I love about networking groups. They're all a different flavor. And you find what flavor works for you. Some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi, some people are like soda is bad for you. No. Is it beer or wine? Is it tea or coffee? I love the fact that there's options and flavors. And so part of it is I have a list from the women I've interviewed. Why do you want this group? And so when I'm feeling down, I'll go back and read, here's why I want this.
Yeah.
Here's what they feel. And then I also think about, when I'm struggling, do I really want to do this? Because it's really easy to do that. I'm like, you know what? I have decided that I'm doing this. And until I decide otherwise, I'm going to continue to do this. And when I'm struggling, like, oh, I just can't do this. My thing that I do is, what's one little itty bitty thing that I can do to help me get closer? And sometimes it's as simple as, let me open up Canva to create that design, or let me go onto Upwork, not to like do the whole thing, but go on to Upwork to post the job for somebody to do something for me. Sometimes it's just open the program. 9 times out of 10, I will do a little bit more than just open the program. But every once in a while, like I went to Hot Pilates on Sunday, and I'm like, I always tell myself, if I want to go back home and go to bed when I'm done, I can. And I never do. But that Sunday, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? It was in July. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I want to go back to bed. I'm like, oh crap, I want to go back to bed, but there's stuff to do. And I'm like, Tiffany, you told yourself you can go back to bed.
That was the deal.
Up and go. And I mean, I did get back in bed, but 20 minutes later, breakfast was ready. So I said, yes, husband, I will come eat breakfast, because yay. But like, sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to not be working all the time, but giving us those little carrots of, go to the gym class, open the computer, make the one, like sometimes it's just make the one phone call. But once you make the one phone call, it's easy to make the third or the fourth or the fifth. Like sometimes it's just getting started and doing that. So that was a very long-winded, all around kind of crazy question. I answered your question, which I don't even remember the question.
I don't even.
And I don't know if you do either.
You did.
I feel like it's something along the lines, if you're struggling as an entrepreneur, how do you not give up? I think I answered that ish.
You did fantastic. And there were so many things that popped up for me when you were talking about that. So let's see if I can remember them all. No, but the first thing was when you were talking about going through the testimonials, and I didn't even realize that I do this until you said it. Like, I know that there are days when like something will come up, and I'm not feeling motivated, and I'm feeling guilty about not feeling motivated. Like, it's like, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Like, your butt should be on fire all day long, right? Like, what are you doing? And I will go sometimes just into my phone and take pictures. I try and take a lot of pictures of every, training or facilitation experience that we have, and taking pictures of the people and the things that they're doing. And I don't always use them for social media. And a lot of times it's really just for me. I use them, but just as you said, it's like I go back and I was like, oh, I remember that experience. Like, I remember that light bulb going off in that moment. I remember that group coming together and really being excited about this. And it's like, that's the thing, right? That's my passion. It's like, my purpose is to build skills that empower people to change whatever it is that they want to do. Right. So it was like, I'm doing that. Yeah. So what am I going to do? And I loved, because I think I also get really caught up in the big picture and seeing the huge disconnect of how I'm going to get from here to way over there. And so I really loved your real quick, like, what's something simple, something really quick I can do. It's going to take me 10 minutes, right? Like, just go on and start something and really focus on that really small step, that really small thing. And like you said, that kind of builds momentum. Then it's like, wait, what's the next small step that I can do? And what's the next small thing that I can do? And it starts to build. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Those are excellent. So yeah, when you think about some of the work that you've done, I know for me too, like it's a two-way street. Like we love to look back and know where we have made a difference and we've inspired and we've made that impact there. But what's a client or a work or a project that you've had that's actually had the opposite effect for you, that just really hit you and was like, I'm so inspired by what they're doing?
So it's always amazing to see what people are creating. And it is about the business, but it's not always just about the business. Like I have a client, Eric, who is a photographer. And when we first started working together, like his first year, he only had 8% growth working with me. And I'm like, whew, that is not a lot of growth. However, what was key was 25% less time spent working. And so he was able to cut a quarter of his work week out and still be making more money, which is giving him the flexibility and freedom with the income coming in and the time that then he had his fourth son, because now he's got the opportunity to, get the business. Because before he was doing a lot of weddings and away on the weekends, and now he's hardly ever gone on the weekends except to do stuff. He's got 4 boys. Like that to
Oh,
me
yeah.
just seems like, wow, from the child free gal,
Yeah.
that's like a
Yeah.
ton. But it's so awesome to get to see people, get to expand their families by doing that.
Yeah.
I've got a client, Jason, who has been a client for like years and years and years back. I think he joined our community in 2012. And he's a general contractor, and it was him and 3 guys and a part-time bookkeeper. And that business, I think this year is going to be his $10 million year. I think that's what he's on track for. 40 plus employees, and has started 4 other businesses that are employing others, that, some of his family gets to come work with him. And it's so amazing. Like I get to help a person,
Yes.
that the ripples that come through of, okay, now we've got more lives in the world, or we've got, people being adopted or pets being adopted. We've got businesses being formed, jobs being created, security offering. And it's just amazing to see people be able to take a solopreneurship or a small business and build it into their empire.
Yeah.
And just what we're able to create that's so different than what people anticipate. Like to me,
Yes.
it is about how do we have this amazing business and fun while we're doing it, being the business owner and the boss, not the technician.
Yes. 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 We were talking about this the other day on our call to get to know one another. And as you were talking about that, like I'm drawn to the time, money, and fun, right? Like in the background, because
Let's put it on the wall so you can see. Like
yes,
let's make it
yes,
super obvious.
yes, because like you said, like the growth in maturity in your business and success in your business is not just defined by a percentage of growth or percentage of money, right?
Yeah.
Especially in entrepreneurship, because it is, nobody gets into it just wanting, I suppose some people maybe do. I don't ever want to have any free time again. I just want to work for myself and never talk to anybody and just, go for the money. But I think most of us go in it to free something up, to free up money, to have flexibility, to be able to take a vacation with our friends or run our kids to, an event, or to do those things that we want, that flexibility, and want to turn our passion into a purpose that actually makes money, and it is really fun. So again, like I really appreciate you sharing a lot of the things that you've learned in your business and the things that you're doing. So it's so cool.
Can I answer one more thing when it
Yes.
comes to the struggling question? I'm like, oh, I just
Yes.
thought of something I wanted to share. The most successful times in my entrepreneurship life is when I've had a coach. Now, you worked with coaches, achievement coach, health coach, vision coach, like vision, the big picture, not vision of my eyesight.
Yes.
Mindset coach. When I am stagnant or plateaued in my business, always coincides to when I decide not to have a coach at that point in time in my life.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so for those of you that are struggling, sometimes it's just having that person that has that outside view, that outside look, that's able to give you that perspective. So if you're struggling, I highly recommend finding a coach. Now, there's so many different coaches out there for so many different things. What I find is that it bleeds. So right now I have a mindset coach that I'm working on, and my business is thriving because of that. It's not necessarily business coaching and structure, but the mindset feeds into that. When I'm being like, when I was working with a health coach, and it's like, okay, when are you working out? What are you eating? Creating that routine and that, feeding into my body in a good way, that fed into my business in a good way. And so if you're out there, solopreneurs, especially all by yourself, I highly recommend, find a coach. I like group coaching where you're part of a group. Usually it's a little bit less expensive, but one-on-one works as well. There's coaches out there, depending on what you want, that can help you along the way. And so I highly recommend, like, if you want growth, if you want success, if you want to be empowered, have an amazing coach. That being said, some coaches suck. Every profession is the same. Some coaches are amazing, some are not so much. And I think that's in every profession you have that. So you do have to watch. One of my red flags is if you have a coach that doesn't have a coach, that's probably not a good coach, because most of the coaches get it. But I highly recommend for the struggling. So build you up with your testimonial bank, start small with one little thing, and have a coach to help you take things to the next level.
I agree. I think that was the first thing that I did when I started my business, and it was a mindfulness coach. It was really a spiritual mindfulness. It was like, I have to get myself right. Like, I got to be centered. I need to know who I am in order to step in and build what I want to build. I can't do it without that, because it's the center of your business, right? And it was so powerful. And I one of the things that you said in that is just that perspective, because I think we're adults, our brains are so efficient, and we fall back into patterns that are simple and easy, and we're not stretching ourselves, or we're not looking at something from a different perspective. So having somebody to help us disrupt that pattern, like you said, disrupt that pattern. What are you really doing to take care of yourself? What are those new habits that you're going to create? What is the new you that's different from, what you were before, or how you're going to grow, right? Because we can't grow without changing something. There's something that's got to be disruptive in there. And I really appreciate you saying that. I think the other thing that you said, which also kind of goes back to the groups that you were talking about, whether we're looking for, a networking group or what networking, or coach, right? Sometimes we got to date things, right? We got to date some things, we got to try them on. And that's what I really, when you think about your group, and not being stopped by the people who are saying, well, I want this. You're excluding me. You're not doing this stuff, but it's about creating a space of belonging. And there may be, women who are choosing, not to have children, who go into a group that they're like, yeah, this is just a women entrepreneur group, and I feel like I belong here. I feel like I'm supported here. And there are others who are like, yeah, y'all don't get me. You don't get what I'm coming from in my story. And it's just, and in order to thrive and be in that peer environment, we have to feel supported, and we have to feel that we belong. And so there's so much room for networking groups and coaching, because every person is unique, and you need to find the right fit.
Yes. And try it on.
Try it on.
Sometimes I think as adults, it's interesting because we're picking paint colors. And that to me is like a very serious thing. But I'm like, if I put it up and I don't like it, I can just repaint it. Somewhere along the way, as adults, we got really stuck in it. Once it's done, it's done. Yeah. Oh, my logo's set. Well, if your logo sucks, change it. It's better than having a sucky logo just because you have to change it on a few things. I laugh at attorneys. I'm like, man, they're, new partners, that has to be quite a line item expense every time they get a new partner. Throw all the stuff away.
Start all over again. Now we're adding another name to the 5 we have.
Yeah, but I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, part of our struggle is we are so stuck and I have to do it the way that I've done it. But why? Like, I think that in general, life is an experiment. And so if you think of your business as little itty bitty micro experiments of, I'm going to try my sales conversation this way today. I'm going to try my networking pitch. I don't like to call it an elevator pitch, but we don't have time to talk about what I prefer. Let me try it differently today. Let me, deliver it in this method. Let me try. And I think that the more that we experiment, the more we fine tune, the more successful we're going to be. I think a lot of times we get stuck in this worked once, let me leave it exactly the same. But Carrie, nothing is the same as it was 5 years ago.
No.
I mean,
no,
the world
no.
completely, and everybody wants to go back, but to me, I'm like, the world wasn't great before. It had some things that could be better. Like, instead of trying to go back to what was comfortable, what we're used to, why don't we take the opportunity and create what would be better?
Yes. Yes. I love that. I think it makes me think of what happened during COVID. Like, I teach and I train in person, and everything is in person. And we had someone on our team who was like, we need to figure out how to do this virtually. And I was like, no, that sucks. Why would we want to do that? And then COVID hit, and we're like, guess what? We gotta figure out how to do this shit virtually, and we're gonna have to do it like right now. And we had a conversation in our team, and we're like, we have some options. Like, we can wait it out, see what happens, and hope eventually it comes back. We can, ride off the cliff together and just say, you know what, we're just, when our business dries up, we're going to close, or we can figure out how to do it. And we said, well, we're not going to stop. We're going to figure out how to do it, right? We're going to figure out how to do the same thing, create the same experience that we do in person, and create it in a virtual space. And we did it, and we had one of our best years ever through COVID, because it was just like, we're not going to just feel hopeless and say, well, I don't know how to do it this way. Like, I don't, this isn't going to work this way. It's like, okay, no, let's revamp. And I think it's that again, I think our brains need that the more and more, and we teach that in our courses, like the more and more we can disrupt those patterns, right? Because we're not innovative and creative and things that we just do. I just drive to work, and I don't know how I got there. I don't remember stopping at that stoplight, because my brain just tells me that's the routine. That's what I'm doing. And we need sometimes, unfortunately, those really big things that shake us up. And then it's up to us. And I think if we have coaching and we have that support system, it's like, I'm ready for this. Like, I'm not going to like it, and it might slow down, but I know it's going to be so much better when I get through it.
Yeah.
And it's what sets you apart from everybody else that's just going to sit and wait.
I was talking to somebody last week, and they're just, all the bill or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're doom and gloom, that's not referable. If I say, how are you doing? And you spend 5 minutes BMW bitching, moaning, and whining, that is not referable to people in my network. I can't send people to you.
Right. Right. It's a big thing. It's like, how do I walk in? And it's not false hope, right? It's not like I'm just being overly, unaware of the things that are happening. Like, just like on some mushroom cloud of happiness over here. Like, I get it.
Oh, I want to be on that. I kind of want to be on that mushroom
I kind of want to know where
but it's not the false hope. It's not the ostrich putting your head in the sand. It's like, I'm reworking the serenity prayer. And because to me, it should be, here's Tiffany's declaration. Give me, I have the wisdom. I don't have the words completely right. I have the wisdom to know what I can't change, and I'm going to leave it alone, and what I can change and get up off my booty to go do something about it.
Put your effort, your energy, your passion into the things that you can change.
Yes.
Because I think if we all as human beings do that, right? Like, turn off all the crap, right? Work on yourself, be better, lead yourself better, center yourself. Because if I'm confident in who I am, I don't really give a shit what you do, right? Like, I'm going to be less judgmental because I know my own value. And I'm also I'm open to sitting down with you and hearing a new perspective, because I want to learn, and I want to hear that, and I don't feel challenged by it, right? So, no, well, that's a whole nother podcast too. So, welcome to our series.
But 17.
Yes.
Carrie and Tiffany just shooting the shit.
Well, I think we are about at 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it goes by so fast. But I just kind of want to ask you for some parting words. What are some things, some encouraging things you can leave us with?
Yeah, so entrepreneurs, think about what is the priority for you in your life. What is it that you really want to create? And I think that as you begin to identify, key piece number one is my family. Number two is my business. Number three, my relationship with God. Number four is my health, or whatever it may be. And everybody is different. What are the priority, and what can I get rid of? What is not necessary? I hear people all the time, I'm so busy, but they just binged, 28 seasons of something. Like,
Right.
there's a disconnect. What Matt and I am number one. I love my TV and I am not giving it up. I'm
Right.
watching less, but that is one thing that I'm not saying. I'm not saying you have to give it up, but what are my priorities in life? What is it that I want to do? And if the business is number one, then how do I do the things that make me money and move me forward versus busy work? I think a lot of people do a lot of busy stuff that doesn't create results. And to me, it's how do we create results so we can create the life that we desire?